Virginia. The Senate of Virginia. This is the Senate of Virginia, Richmond, Virginia. The Senate of Virginia. This is the Senate of Virginia, Richmond, Virginia. The Senate of Virginia. This is the Senate of Virginia, Richmond, Virginia. The Senate of Virginia. This is the Senate of Virginia, Richmond, Virginia. The Senate of Virginia. This is the Senate of Virginia, Richmond, Virginia. The Senate of Virginia. This is the Senate of Virginia, Richmond, Virginia. The Senate of Virginia. This is the Senate of Virginia, Richmond, Virginia. Senate of Virginia. This is the Senate of Virginia, Richmond, Virginia. The Senate of Virginia. This is the Senate of Virginia, Richmond, Virginia. The Senate of Virginia. This is the Senate of Virginia, Richmond, Virginia. The Senate of Virginia. This is the Senate of Virginia, Richmond, Virginia. The Senate of Virginia. This is the Senate of Virginia, Richmond, Virginia. The Senate of Virginia. This is the Senate of Virginia, Richmond, Virginia. The Senate of Virginia. This is the Senate of Virginia, Richmond, Virginia. The Senate of Virginia. This is the Senate of Virginia, Richmond, Virginia. The Senate of Virginia. This is the Senate of Virginia, Richmond, Virginia. The Senate of Virginia. This is the Senate of Virginia, Richmond, Virginia. the Senate of Virginia. This is the Senate of Virginia, Richmond, Virginia. The Senate of Virginia. This is the Senate of Virginia, Richmond, Virginia. The Senate of Virginia. This is the Senate of Virginia, Richmond, Virginia. The Senate of Virginia. This is the Senate of Virginia, Richmond, Virginia.
The senators will take their seats. Those persons not entitled to the privileges of the floor will please retire to the gallery. Good morning, senators. Good morning, guests. The senators and those in attendance, if you are able, please rise. We will be led in prayer this morning by the Reverend Stuart Hodges of Waters Edge Church in Yorktown. Following the prayer, if everyone will please remain standing, and we will be led in the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America by our Senate page, Caleb Rose of Richmond.
Let's pray. Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day, for your goodness, your grace, your mercy, and your love. Today we give you thanks for this great Commonwealth of Virginia, for your blessings on this state. And we obey the words of the Apostle Paul, who wrote, I urge you first of all to pray for all people and ask God to help them, intercede on their behalf, and give thanks for them. Pray this way for kings and all who are in authority, so that we may live peaceful and quiet lives marked by godliness and dignity. So today I pray for our senators, for these men and women who selflessly and sacrificially serve our state. God, would you grant them the wisdom of Solomon, the passion of David, the determination of Daniel, the heart of Esther, the courage of Joshua, the love of John, and the faith of Peter. I pray for your will to be done here on earth as it is in heaven, in and through the decisions they make on this day. In Jesus' name, I ask these things. Amen. Amen.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty
The clerk will call the roll. All those present, please vote aye. The clerk will close the roll.
You have a quorum, Madam President. Senate Journal for Friday, March 1st, 2024.
Senator from Hanover, Senator McDougal, moves that the reading of the journal be waived. All in favor of waiving the reading of the journal will record their votes aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Does any senator desire to change their vote? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 37, noes 1, Rule 36-1.
Ayes 37, noes 1, Rule 36-1. The reading of the journal is waived. The clerk will report any communications from the House of Delegates. Chair recognizes Senator Sorrevell, the senator from Eastern Fairfax County.
Good afternoon, Madam President.
Good afternoon.
Madam President, I move to waive reading of the House communication.
The question is, shall the communication from the House be waived? Those in favor of waiving the reading will record their votes aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Does any senator desire to change their vote? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 36, noes 3.
Ayes 36, noes 3. The reading of the communication from the House of Delegates is waived. The clerk will report any communications from the governor.
We do not have any, Madam President.
Chair recognizes Senator Sorrevell. Senator Sorrevell, the senator from Eastern Fairfax County.
I apologize, Madam President. Madam President, I move to suspend the rules and grant the privileges of the floor to a distinguished person.
The question is, shall the rules be suspended and the privileges of the floor granted to a distinguished person? Those in favor of that motion will record their votes aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Does any senator desire to change their vote? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 39, noes 0.
Ayes 39, no 0. The rules are suspended. The privileges of the floor are granted. Chair recognizes Senator from Chesterfield, Senator Hashmi, for the purpose of presenting the distinguished guest.
Thank you, Madam President. I am incredibly honored to introduce Mark Smith, who has a resume older than many people sitting in this chamber today. Not to make you feel too old, Mark, about that. Mark retired from state service on Christmas Eve of 2023 after 45 years of service. He's been an integral part of 44 sessions and has served in numerous capacities, many of which we will hear about shortly in the resolution. So rather than repeat what will be read in the resolution, I want to speak just briefly and personally. Mark, if you haven't had time to chat with him recently, Mark is a walking, talking history book of Virginia's General Assembly. Not only has he observed nearly 5 decades of this history, he's been an integral part of making that history. And I have found that listening to Mark talk about past governors, legislators, and our changing dynamics is absolutely fascinating. For example, I had no idea that the bell tower was actually once used as an office space and that Mark was at one point ensconced right there. It's a testament to Mark's depth and length of service that we're joined in the gallery by numerous past and present colleagues of Mark. And we're also joined on the Senate floor today by Mark's wife, Natalie. And I know that his 2 children wish that they could be here as well. And I ask Madam Clerk to read the resolution.
Senate Joint Resolution Number 151, commending Mark E. Smith. Whereas Mark E. Smith who served the Commonwealth in various capacities for nearly 45 years, celebrated his retirement from state service on December 24, 2023. And whereas Mark Smith serves as chief liaison between George Mason University and government entities of the Commonwealth, including elected and appointed officials in the executive and legislative branches, as well as numerous state agencies that interface with the university. And whereas in concert with GMU's leadership team, Mark Smith established the university's legislative priorities and planned and executed strategies to advance GMU's interest in Richmond year-round. And whereas Mark Smith secured several key priorities for GMU, including the capital projects that delivered Peterson Family Health Sciences Hall, Horizon Hall, the Fuse Building, and the Life Sciences and Engineering Building. And whereas Mark Smith worked to secure pay raises and increases in operating funds, his effort to deliver significant increases in financial aid at levels previously unseen in the Commonwealth was perhaps his greatest success. And whereas Mark Smith joined GMU as Executive Director of State Government Relations in August of 2013, having previously spent nearly 2 decades leading government relations efforts at Virginia Commonwealth University, and whereas in addition to his experience in academia, Mark Smith completed an additional decade of service to the Commonwealth as Assistant Secretary of Education, Executive Assistant for the Secretary of Transportation and Public Safety, Division Administrative Manager in the Attorney General's Office, and as a staffer for both the House Clerk's Office and the Senate Clerk's Office, which are responsible for the daily operations of the General Assembly. And whereas Mark Smith's career in public service began as an intern in the Lieutenant Governor's Office in the summer of 1979 and culminated in the 2023 session of the General Assembly, the 44th session in which he served. And whereas Mark Smith is active in his community as a member of the Advisory Committee for the Commonwealth of Virginia campaign and as a member of the Review Committee for the Virginia State Employees Emergency Fund, and whereas Mark Smith served on the Virginia Board of Conservation and Recreation, the Advisory Committee for the YMCA Model General Assembly, the Virginia YMCA Board of Directors, and the National Kidney Foundation and its Virginia affiliate. And whereas Mark Smith graduated with honors from VCU with a major in administration of justice and public safety and a minor in political science, he later earned a master's degree from VCU in public administration. And whereas Mark Smith served his community and the Commonwealth with the utmost integrity, dedication, and distinction, and he has earned several awards for the distinguished leadership, including the recognition from the Richmond JCs. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Senate, the House of Delegates concurring, that the General Assembly hereby commend Mark E. Smith on the occasion of his retirement, and be it resolved further that the Clerk of the Senate prepare a copy of this resolution for presentation to Mark E. Smith as an expression of the General Assembly's admiration for his legacy of contributions to the Commonwealth.
Please join me in the well of the Senate. Congratulations. So here we are, having started as an intern in the Lieutenant Governor's office, and where else can you go but up after that? And you've given so much of yourself. You thought about, yes, in the pay raises, but then you thought about the least of these and helping to have, what does it say here? Increases in financial aid at levels previously unseen, so that those of us who wish to get to college can do so. Thank you so very much for opening that avenue for so many people. And then, at the conclusion, we understand that you served your community and the Commonwealth with the utmost integrity, dedication, and distinction. Those are not words we lightly toss around. They mean something. And here they are for all posterity and in the Journal of the Senate of Virginia. to thank you for what you've done and to thank you for giving him to us. Thank you, sir, and thank you, Senator, for bringing this wonderful gentleman to our attention so that we may give them the honor that is due. And so, Jada, I'll take this from you, and if you'll take that, present you on behalf of the Senate of the Commonwealth of Virginia. The Senate will be at ease. Our morning hour when we will discover who all of you beautiful people are. And the procedure is that your senator will rise and tell us who you are, and please rise at that time so that we can begin to welcome you. But if you'll hold your applause until after I've spoken, then we'll give you the applause you deserve. So with that, I do call on Senator Diggs, the senator from York.
Thank you, Madam President. I rise for an introduction.
Senator has the floor.
Thank you. Today, we were blessed to have Pastor Stu Hodges offer our opening prayer. He is the pastor of Waters Edge Church, located in Yorktown. Pastor Stu started Waters Edge Church 21 years ago this month with 50 people meeting at a YMCA. Through the years, God has blessed Pastor Stu and the church he leads, growing it to multiple campuses with an average weekly attendance of 1,500 and a weekly online reach of over 100,000. With God's help, Pastor Stu has led thousands to accept Christ, and the church continues to grow. Pastor Hodges is joined by some others from Waters Edge Church, and I am proud to call Stu Hodges my pastor. And Madam President, I ask that you extend them the warm welcome of the Senate.
We thank you so very much for coming, Pastor. Oh, no, we're trying to give you the welcome. We thank you for your prayer, and from what the senator has said, you started with 11 congregants, and now you have multi-campuses. That is amazing, and so, as the Bible says, we should not despise small beginnings. Thank you for continuing that fight, and here you are today. Senators, let us give him the warm welcome of his Senate. Senator Bagby, the senior senator from Enrico.
Thank you, Madam President. Madam President, I rise for two introductions.
The senator has the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. Madam President and members of the Senate, we are joined in the gallery by Cristo Ray Richmond High School, second graduating class. Cristo Ray is a private Catholic nonprofit organization that provides students an extraordinary college preparatory education in a unique 4-year integrated work-study experience, which is unique and is the only program of its kind in the city. The 50 seniors, including some that are here today, are all studying government, and all of whom have been accepted to college and are college-bound. And they are here visiting to experience their government in action and to witness the important work that we do on behalf of the Commonwealth. And so I would ask you to give them the warm welcome of the Senate.
Welcome again, students, and you've heard the senator say that you came to witness your government. This is indeed your government, of the people, by the people, and for the people, and you are the people. And one day you are going to be able to vote, and we hope that you will become a part of the legislative process as well as vote. So we're very grateful for you, and our future looks bright indeed. How spiffy you look in your uniform. Senators, let us give them the warm welcome of their Senate. Senator Bagby.
Thank you, Madam President. Madam President, members of the Senate, also joining us in the gallery today is Coach Alvin Parker and players from the Virginia Union University football team, if they would stand. Coach Parker just earned his second Coach of the Year award after leading the Virginia Union University Panthers to the first CIAA championship in 20 years. In 2022, the team finished the season ranked 16th in the country. This past season, the team achieved multiple school conference and national records and ranked in the top 15 of 15 different statistical categories nationwide. The team also earned recognition for having the highest team grade point average in the CIAA. Coach Parker is a leader in collegiate athletics and nationally a member of the American Football Coaches Association Board of Trustees and founding member of the Home Team Foundation. I ask that you also grant them the warm welcome of the Senate.
Welcome to you, vaunted coaches and a vaunted team. Decades without a win, and here you are now, atop the mountain, CIAA champions. What a fete indeed. Hard work, stick-to-itiveness, determinedness, dedication. We're so glad, and we applaud you, and we celebrate you, and we honor you. Senators, let us give them the warm welcome of their Senate. Senator Subramaniam, the senior senator from Loudoun.
Thank you, Madam President. I rise for an introduction.
The senator has the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. Here in the gallery with us today is Dr. T. Vishnudatta Jayaraman, if he wants to stand. Dr. Jayaraman is a constituent and the Washington Bureau Chief, White House, and UN correspondent at the News India Times. He's here today with us as the recipient of the prestigious Ashoka Award for Social Change. And Dr. Jayaraman has dedicated his professional life to journalism and foreign policy and was presented the award in New Delhi by the former governor of the state of Arunachal Pradesh. On January 27th, he also received the Distinguished Service Award for advancing media coverage for the Indian diaspora and fostering U.S.-India relations from the Indian ambassador to the United States, Taranjit Sandhu, and of course, you, Madam President. So, Madam President, I hope we can give him a warm Senate welcome in recognition of all that he's accomplished in the field.
A very welcome to you. Part of a democracy, and I think probably the very first part, is that the media be free. And we are so glad that you are there to help remind us of that. Hence, all the accolades that you've received. We congratulate you, and thank you for coming. Senators, let us give him the warm welcome of our Senate. Senator Locke, the senator from Hampton. Is there any other business to come for the morning hour? Senator Marsden, the senior senator from Fairfax County.
Thank you, Madam President. I rise for an introduction.
The senator may continue.
Thank you, Madam President. Madam President, today we are joined by Grammy Award winner Annie Ray, along with her husband, Staff Sergeant Irving Ray, and their two children, Eloise and Millie. Annie is a constituent of mine who serves as music teacher, orchestra director, and chair of the Performing Arts Department at Annandale High School. Annie was recently named the winner of the 2024 Music Educator Award during the 66th Annual Grammy Awards weekend out of over 2,000 nominees. Her Grammy was awarded to her in recognition of the significant and lasting contributions she has made to the field of music education. Inspired by the diversity of Annandale High School, Annie works tirelessly to improve access to music education for all students. She created the Crescendo Orchestra to help students with severe intellectual and developmental disabilities learn an instrument and experience the joy of playing music. Annie established the Fairfax County Public Schools Parent Orchestra, which provides hundreds of caregivers the opportunity to learn an instrument alongside their child, bringing families closer together. In addition to the Grammy Award, Annie was also named the 2023 Fairfax County Public Schools Outstanding Secondary Teacher of the Year for her efforts to promote quality in education. She's had outstanding contributions to the Annandale community, Madam President, and I wish to have her given the warm welcome of the Senate.
Welcome, family. Welcome, Annie. And I see that your Grammy was awarded to you for lasting achievement, not a one-time event, but a lasting achievement, seemingly a lifelong achievement in one so young. Evidently, you have done great things, and it is evident because the senator has told us of all you've done for our young people. We're so grateful, and the babies, too. And thank you, sir, for your current service to your great nation. Senators, let us give them the warm welcome of their Senate. Senator Subramaniam, the senior senator from Loudoun.
Thank you, Madam President. I rise for a motion.
The senator may continue.
Thank you, Madam President. I move that we grant a leave of absence for the junior senator from Loudoun, my seatmate, who's not here on account of pressing personal business.
It will be so noted, Senator. Thank you. Senator Sudaline, The senator from Roanoke.
Good morning, Madam President. I would like to make an introduction.
The senator has the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. In the gallery today is one of my oldest friends, Jake Israel. He's a constituent of the Senator from Eastern Prince William up in Northern Virginia. He's been very active in civic life and involved in several General Assembly campaigns, and I'd ask that you give him the warm welcome of the Senate.
Please rise. There you are. Mr. Israel, thank you for coming. Thank you for civic involvement. Thank you for, well, helping the senator to do what he is able to do day in and day out. Senators, let us give him the warm welcome of his Senate. Again, is there any other business for the morning hour? Senator Surville, the senator from Eastern Fairfax County.
Thank you, Madam President. I rise for an announcement.
The senator has the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. Ladies and gentlemen of the Senate, you might have looked at our calendar and noticed, I think we have about 70 bills on third read regular, which will take quite a long time. We also have Commerce and Labor that's supposed to meet this afternoon. We don't have committees meeting tomorrow afternoon. And so, sort of in consultation with a couple different folks, I think the plan for today will be see where we get through about 3 o'clock, and then at that point, perhaps push everything else contested, everything third regular to tomorrow, so we can get Commerce and Labor over with at a reasonable hour tonight. So I think that's how we're going to run the floor today. Although I need to go, I guess I'll talk with the minority leader in the meantime about whether he's cool with that too. But right now, I think that's where we're headed. So I want to make sure everybody knew we're trying to figure out a way to manage all this volume in the next 2 days. Thank you.
A last call for any other business for the morning hour. Hearing none, the clerk will call the calendar.
The Senate calendar for Monday, March the 4th, 2024. Please turn to page 8. We have a conference report on Senate Bill 550.
Senator Deeds, the senator from Charlottesville.
Madam President, I move that the conference report be accepted.
The senator has the floor.
The primary issue in the conference was a reenactment clause that the House put on the bill. That reenactment clause was removed from the bill, and so the House basically succumbed to the Senate position.
The question is, shall the conference committee report on Senate Bill 550 be accepted? Those in favor of that motion will record their votes aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Does any senator desire to change their vote? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 37, noes 1.
Ayes 37, noes 1. The conference committee report is accepted.
On page 10, conference committee report on House Bill 98. And the House has rejected the amendment. Sorry.
Senator Hashmi, the senator from Chesterfield.
Madam President, I move that we insist on a committee of conference for HB 98.
The question is, shall the Senate insist on its amendment and request a committee of conference on the bill? All those in favor of that motion will record their votes aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Does any senator desire to change their vote? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 39, noes 0.
Ayes 39, no 0. The Senate insists on its amendment and respectfully requests a committee of conference on the bill.
On House Bill 47, the House has acceded to a request for a committee of conference. Conferees on the part of the Senate is named by the Chair of Agriculture, Conservation, and Natural Resources, Senator Marsden, or Senators Salim, Williams-Graves, and Stewart. Unfinished business, Senate. Senate Bill 54 has passed the House with a substitute.
Senator Locke, the senator from Hampton.
Thank you, Madam President. With the recommendation that it be rejected, I move that we concur with the House substitute. And speaking to that,
The senator has the floor.
Madam President, there are some differences in terms of where we are on capturing unspent early childhood care and education funding balances, and we want to reconcile those differences. Again, with the recommendation that we reject the House substitute, I move that we concur.
With the recommendation that it be rejected, the question is, shall the Senate accept the House substitute on Senate Bill 54? Those in favor of that motion will record their votes aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Does any senator desire to change their vote? With the recommendation that it be rejected, the clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 0, noes 39.
Ayes 0, noes 39. The House substitute is rejected.
Senate Bill 272 has passed the House with a substitute.
Senator Hashmi, the senator from Chesterfield.
Thank you, Madam President. With the recommendation that the House substitute be rejected, I move the House substitute. And speaking to that motion.
The senator may continue.
Madam President, I actually do like the House substitute. It's the original language from my original bill, but in the Senate Finance Committee, out of necessity, we had put a substitute on SB 272, and understanding that there is a great deal of discussion that remains between our budget conferees and the work that will move forward on this particular bill. I ask again that we reject the House substitute. Thank you, Madam President.
With the recommendation that it be rejected, the question is, shall the House substitute be agreed to? Those in favor of that motion will record their votes aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Does any senator desire to change their vote? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 0, noes 39.
Ayes 0, noes 39. The House substitute is rejected.
Senate Bill 21, the House insists on its substitute and requests a committee of conference.
Chair recognizes Senator Surville, the senator from Eastern Fairfax County.
Thank you, Madam President. I rise for a motion.
The senator may state it.
Madam President, I move that we accede to the conference committee requests on the bills listed up there on the board, and speaking to that motion.
The senator has the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. Ladies and gentlemen, Senate, we thought we might save a little bit of time by doing these in a block instead of doing them one at a time. I think the plan is for the clerk to read them off really quick, and if anybody does not want to accede, stand up and speak now or forever hold your peace. Otherwise, we'll knock these out in a block and move along a little faster. I think that's the plan. I'd move them in a block.
The question is, shall the Senate bills on the unfinished business on pages 12 through 16 be placed in the block? To accede to a request for a committee of conference with the understanding that any senator desiring a bill to be removed from the block will do so after the clerk has read the number of the bill. All those in favor of that motion will say aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The motion is agreed to. The bills are before us in the block. The clerk will now read the number of the bills.
Senate Bill 21, 105, 135, 313, 314, 352, 356, 441, 498, 699, 710.
The question is, shall the Senate accede to the request for a committee of conference on the Senate bills in the block? All those in favor of that motion will record their votes aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Does any senator desire to change their vote? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 38, no 0.
Ayes 38, no 0. The Senate has acceded to the request for committees of conference.
Conferees on the part of the Senate on Senate Bill 21 is named by the Chair of Education and Health, Senators Salim, Hashmi, and Pillion. Conferees on the part of the Senate on Senate Bill 105 is named by the Chair of Education and Health, Senator Hashmi, or Senators Lucas, Hashmi, Pillion. On Senate Bill 135, conferees on the part of the Senate is named by the Chair of Local Government as Senator McPike, or Senators Head, Bagby, and Aird. Senate Bill 313, conferees on the part of the Senate is named by the Chair of Commerce and Labor, Senator Deeds, of Senators Valkenburg, Rouse, and D-Stuff. Conferees on the part of the Senate for Senate Bill 314, as named by the Chair of Education and Health, Senator Hashmi, are Senators Rome, Bagby, and Head. Senate Bill 352, conferees on the part of the Senate, is named by the Chair of Education and Health, Senator Hashmi, are Senators Peake, Van Valkenburg, and Hashmi. Senate Bill 356, conferees on the part of the Senate as named by the Chair of Courts of Justice, Senator Surville, are Senators Perry, Salim, and Stanley. Senate Bill 441, conferees on the part of the Senate as named by the Chair of Education and Health, Senator Hashmi, of Senators Durant, Prakarsky, and Van Valkenburg. Senate Bill 498, conferees on the part of the Senate is named by the Chair of Education and Health, Senator Hashmi, of Senators Carol Foy, Prakarsky, and Peake. Senate Bill 699, conferees on the part of the Senate is named by the Chair of Finance and Appropriations, Senator Lucas, or Senators Lucas, Locke, and McDougall. Senate Bill 710, conferees on the part of the Senate is named by the Chair of Courts of Justice, Senator Surville, or Senator Deeds, Carol Foy, and Obenshain. Uncontested calendar, House bills on third reading.
Senator Surville, the senator from Eastern Fairfax County.
Madam President, I move that all the House bills on third reading on the uncontested calendar, pages 21 through 40, House Bills 66 through 1482, be advanced to their final passage in the block after the adoption of any amendments thereto, that any senator desiring to remove a bill from the block shall do so after the clerk has read the number of the bill.
Question is, shall the House bills on the uncontested calendar, third reading, pages 21 through 40, House Bills 66 through 1482, be placed upon their final passage in the block with any amendments thereto, with the understanding that any senator desiring a bill to be removed from the block will do so after the clerk has read the number of the bills? Those in favor of that motion will say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The motion is agreed to. The bills are before us in the block. The clerk will now read the number of the bills.
House Bill 66, reported from the Committee on Education and Health with a substitute.
Senator Hashmi, the senator from Chesterfield.
I move that we agree to the committee substitute.
The question is, shall the substitute be agreed to? Those in favor will say aye. Those opposed, no. The substitute is agreed to.
Senate Bill 134, reported from the Committee on Education and Health with a substitute.
Again, Senator Hashmi.
Madam President, I move that we agree to the committee substitute.
The question is, shall the substitute be agreed to? Those in favor will say aye. Those opposed, no. The substitute is agreed to.
House Bill 266, reported from the Committee for Courts of Justice with amendment.
Senator Surville, the senator from Eastern Fairfax County.
Thank you, Madam President. I move the committee amendment.
The question is, shall the committee amendment be agreed to? Those in favor will say aye. Those opposed, no. The amendment is agreed to.
House Bill 268, reported from the Committee for Courts of Justice with a substitute.
Senator Surville.
Madam President, I move the committee substitute.
Senator Surville.
Move the committee substitute, please.
The question is, shall the substitute be agreed to? Those in favor will say aye. Those opposed, no. The substitute is agreed to.
House Bill 269, reported from the Committee on Education and Health. House Bill 322, reported from the Committee on General Laws and Technology. House Bill 368, reported from the Committee on General Laws and Technology with amendment.
Senator Eben, the senator from Alexandria.
I move the committee amendment.
The question is, shall the committee amendment be agreed to? Those in favor will say aye. Those opposed, no. The committee amendment is agreed to.
House Bill 435, reported from the Committee for Courts of Justice. House Bill 503, reported from the Committee on Education and Health. House Bill 511, reported from the Committee on Education and Health. House Bill 561, reported from the Committee on Education and Health. House Bill 632, reported from the Committee on Education and Health with a substitute.
Senator Hashmi, the senator from Chesterfield.
I move the committee substitute be agreed to.
The question is, shall the substitute be agreed to? Those in favor will say aye. Those opposed, no. The substitute is agreed to.
House Bill 690, reported from the Committee on Education and Health with a substitute.
Again, Senator Hashmi, the senator from Chesterfield.
I move the committee substitute be agreed to.
The question is, shall the substitute be agreed to? Those in favor will say aye. Those opposed, no. The substitute is agreed to.
House Bill 707, reported from the Committee on General Laws and Technology, and there is a floor amendment.
Senator Suderline, the senator from Roanoke.
Madam President, I'd ask that the clerk read the very brief amendment.
The question is, shall the reading of the amendment be waived? Those in favor of... Yes, the clerk to read it. Oh, I'm sorry, you did ask the clerk to read it.
Page 1, line 28, after younger than, strike 13, insert 18.
Madam President,
Senator Suderline.
I move passage of the floor amendment, and speaking to that motion.
Senator has the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. So as you see, this is a very brief floor amendment, and it's going to be a question that we're going to hear a few times today, which is, when is someone an adult in the Commonwealth of Virginia? And under this law, for internet protections, you are basically an adult when you're older than 13 for the consumer data protections. I think that it should be 18, just like we have in several other places. And I hope it'll be the pleasure of the body to make sure that our young people have this important protection.
The question is...
Madam President.
For what purpose does the junior senator from Enrico rise?
Speaking to the amendment, Madam
Senator
President.
has the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. Madam President, members of the body, this is the same as my Senate bill that came out of here and went over to the House. And I would ask you to reject this amendment. I think we probably all share the senator's desire for the child privacy data to be extended to the age of 18, and hopefully we will eventually get there. But I think it's important to note the context upon which this bill and others are being passed, not just in Virginia, but across the country. I'll start with across the country and then come to Virginia. Across the country, there's been a series of laws, red states, blue states, rural states, urban states, that have raised the age to 18. They are all caught up into litigation, which means none of them have gone into effect. And the reason for that is how these laws interact with COPPA, which is the federal law. Currently, the FTC is in the rulemaking process of raising that age higher than 13 and trying to find out what the right age is. And so I would rather we have a bill that starts the process of expanding these protections and goes into effect while we wait for these other things to play out, because I think some protections are better than no protections, which is what we would have if this got caught up in litigation and we weren't able to enact the law. The second thing I'll note is that we've seen a series of bills on both the Senate and House side around more far-reaching child privacy policies. I support all of those in spirit. We've sent them all to JCOTS for a reason, which is to see what will work, what won't work, what will be in effect with COPPA, what won't. This bill is not the final step. This bill is a first step in what will be more steps in the coming years. And so I would ask you to vote no on this amendment so we can have a law in effect that does more to protect children, knowing that we'll continue this work and there'll be more to come. Thank you, Madam President.
The question is, shall the floor amendment be, for what purpose does the senator from Rockingham rise?
Madam President, speak to the floor amendment.
The senator may continue.
Madam President, I have just looked at some material relating to this, and I do understand that there is a question about the position of the feds. The Federal Trade Commission is the federal body that is responsible for enforcement of COPPA. And it has specifically stated that Congress did not intend to wholly foreclose state protection of children's online privacy and rejected the notion that that COPPA would preempt state law. I do not see any reason that we shouldn't, at the very least, advance this amendment to see if we can actually protect children up to 18, which is, I think, the goal of everybody in here. And I suspect that if this gets adopted and gets to conference, we'll have a little bit more time to see if we can adopt a little bit more expansive protection against the exploitation of kids' data, which I think we all would like to do up to 18. So I would hope that we would adopt this, let the process work, see whether we can expand those protections to children who are 14, 15, 16, and 17 years of age.
The question is, shall the floor amendment be agreed to? Those in favor will say aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. No. The floor amendment is not agreed to. This will be a recorded vote. Those in favor of the floor amendment will record their votes aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Does any senator desire to change their vote? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 19, noes 20.
Ayes 19, noes 20. The floor amendment is not agreed to.
House Bill 731, reported from the Committee on Education and Health. House Bill 732, reported from the Committee on Education and Health with a substitute.
Senator Hashmi, the senator from Chesterfield.
Madam President, I move the committee substitute be agreed to.
The question is, shall the substitute be agreed to? Those in favor will say aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. The substitute is agreed to.
House Bill 778, reported from the Committee for Courts of Justice. House Bill 794, reported from the Committee for Courts of Justice. House Bill 818, reported from the Committee on General Laws and Technology with a substitute.
Senator Eben, the senator from Alexandria.
I move the committee substitute.
The question is, shall the substitute be agreed to? Those in favor will say aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. The substitute is agreed to.
House Bill 830, reported from the Committee on Education and Health with a substitute.
Senator Hashmi, the senator from Chesterfield.
I move the committee substitute be agreed to.
The question is, shall the substitute be agreed to? Those in favor will say aye. Those opposed, no. The substitute is agreed to.
House Bill 848, reported from the Committee on Education and Health. House Bill 852, reported from the Committee on General Laws and Technology with amendment.
Again, Senator Eben.
I move the committee amendment.
The question is, shall the committee amendment be agreed to? Those in favor will say aye. Those opposed, no. The amendment is agreed to.
House Bill 898, reported from the Committee for Courts of Justice with a substitute.
Senator Somerville, the senator from Eastern Fairfax County.
Move the committee substitute.
The question is, shall the substitute be agreed to? Those in favor will say aye. Those opposed, no. The substitute is agreed to.
House Bill 958, reported from the Committee on Education and Health with amendment.
Again, Senator Hashmi.
I move the committee amendment be agreed to.
The question is, shall the committee amendment be agreed to? Those in favor will say aye. Those opposed, no. The committee amendment is agreed to.
House Bill 971, reported from the Committee on Education and Health. House Bill 980, reported from the Committee on Education and Health. House Bill 995, reported from the Committee on Education and Health. House Bill 1024, reported from the Committee on Education and Health. House Bill 1055, reported from the Committee on Education and Health. House Bill 1068, reported from the Committee on Education and Health with a substitute.
Senator Hashmi.
I move the committee substitute be agreed to.
The question is, shall the substitute be agreed to? Those in favor will say aye. Those opposed, no. The substitute is agreed to.
House Bill 1082, reported from the Committee for Courts of Justice. House Bill 1116, reported from the Committee on General Laws and Technology. House Bill 1146, reported from the Committee for Courts of Justice. House Bill 1182, reported from the Committee on General Laws and Technology. House Bill 1217, reported from the Committee for Courts of Justice. House Bill 1221, reported from the Committee on Education and Health with a substitute.
Senator Hashmi, the senator from Chesterfield.
I move the committee substitute be agreed to.
The question is, shall the substitute be agreed to? Those in favor will say aye. Those opposed, no. The substitute is agreed to.
House Bill 1248, reported from the Committee for Courts of Justice with a substitute.
Senator Surville, the senator from Eastern Fairfax County.
Madam President, I move the committee substitute.
The question is, shall the substitute be agreed to? Those in favor will say aye. Those opposed, no. The substitute is agreed to.
House Bill 1270, reported from the Committee on General Laws and Technology with amendments.
Senator Eben, the senator from Alexandria.
I move the committee amendments.
The question is, shall the committee amendments be agreed to? Those in favor will say aye. Those opposed, no. The committee amendments are agreed to.
House Bill 1272, reported from the Committee on General Laws and Technology. House Bill 1278, reported from the Committee on Education and Health. House Bill 1279, reported from the Committee on Education and Health with amendment.
Senator Hashmi, the senator from Chesterfield.
I move the committee amendment be agreed to.
The question is, shall the committee amendment be agreed to? Those in favor will say aye. Those opposed, no. The committee amendment is agreed to.
House Bill 1335, reported from the Committee for Courts of Justice. House Bill 1338, reported from the Committee for Courts of Justice with a substitute.
Senator from Eastern Fairfax County, Senator Surville.
Move the committee substitute.
The question is, shall the substitute be agreed to? Those in favor will say aye. Those opposed, no. Substitute is agreed to.
House Bill 1339, reported from the Committee for Courts of Justice with amendment.
Again, Senator Surville.
Move the committee amendments.
The question is, shall the committee amendments be agreed to? Those in favor will say aye. Those opposed, no. The committee amendments are agreed to.
House Bill 1342, reported from the Committee on Education and Health. House Bill 1345, reported from the Committee on Education and Health with a substitute.
Senator Hashmi.
I move the committee substitute be agreed to.
The question is, shall the committee substitute be agreed to? Those in favor will say aye. Those opposed, no. The committee substitute is agreed to.
House Bill 1365, reported from the Committee on Education and Health. House Bill 1372, reported for the Committee for Courts of Justice. House Bill 1389, reported from the Committee on Education and Health with amendments.
Senator Hashmi.
I move the committee amendments be agreed to.
The question is, shall the committee amendments be agreed to? Those in favor will say aye. Those opposed, no. The committee amendments are agreed to.
House Bill 1443, reported from the Committee for Courts of Justice with amendments.
Senator Surville.
Move the committee amendments.
The question is, shall the committee amendments be agreed to? Those in favor will say aye. Those opposed, no. The committee amendments are agreed to.
House Bill 1452, reported from the Committee on General Laws and Technology.
Madam President.
For what purpose does the senator from Colonial Heights rise?
Could House Bill 1452 on page 39 come out of the block, please?
Without objection, House Bill 1452 is out of the block.
House Bill 1455, reported from the Committee on Education and Health. House Bill 1477, reported from the Committee on Education and Health with a substitute.
Again, Senator Hashmi.
I move the committee substitute be agreed to.
The question is, shall the substitute be agreed to? Those in favor will say aye. Those opposed, no. The substitute is agreed to.
House Bill 1482, reported from the Committee on General Laws and Technology.
The question is, shall the House bills in the block pass?
President. Sorry.
Senator Ayer, the senator from Petersburg.
Thank you, Madam President. Can I have House Bill 1248 on page 34 come out of the block?
Without objection, House Bill 1248 is out of the block. The question is, shall the House bills remaining in the block pass?
Madam President.
Senator McGuire, the senator from Goochland.
I apologize if I missed it, but can we pull HB 1221 out of the block on page 34?
Without objection, House Bill 1221 is also out of the block. The motion again. The question is, shall the House bills in the block pass? That is, all bills except House Bill 1221 and 1248, both on page 34, and House Bill 1452 on page 39. All in favor of that motion will record their votes aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Does any senator desire to change their vote? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 39, no 0.
Ayes 39, no 0. The bills in the block pass.
Returning to page 24, House Bill 1221.
Page 34.
Yes.
Senator Hashmi, the senator from Chesterfield.
Thank you, Madam President. I move that HB 1221 pass, and speaking briefly to that bill.
The senator has the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. HB 1221 is with regard to the instruction around menstrual education. It simply provides that each school board may provide as a part of health instruction that's offered at each grade level in grades 4 through 8 as the school board deems appropriate a program of instruction on menstrual education, and this is an option for the school boards to include such information and curricula as they see fit. And again, I move that HB 1221 pass.
The question is, shall the bill pass? Those in favor of that motion will record their votes aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Does any senator desire to change their vote? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 37, noes 1.
Ayes 37, noes 1. The bill passes. We have yellow sheet.
Page 34, House Bill 1248.
Senator Sorovell, the senator from Eastern Fairfax County.
Thank you, Madam President. I move the bill pass, and speaking to the motion.
The senator has the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. This bill has to do with the fascinating topic of debtors' interrogatories. Debtors' interrogatories is when you get a judgment against somebody and you want to try and find out what assets they have. You go to the clerk of court and they issue something called a writ of fiery facias, or what many of us in lawyer language just call a FIFA. FIFA issues, and then you bring in the debtor to ask them questions about where their assets are. You can even actually take your watch off their wrist if you like. The problem that the Boyd Graves Conference, I believe, identified was that this writ of FIFA or the summons that's issued pursuant to the writ of FIFA sometimes does not extend to limited liability corporations. And so the Boyd Graves Conference, which is our bipartisan, nonpartisan civil lawyer thing, recommended these changes so that the law was a little clearer. We didn't have so much uncertainty during judgment collection. And again, the bill is a recommendation of the Boyd Graves Conference, and it reported out of the courts committee 15-0. And hope we could pass the bill.
The question is, shall the bill pass? Those in favor will record their votes aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Does any senator desire to change their vote? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 21, noes 16.
Ayes 21, no 16. The bill passes.
On page 39, House Bill 1452.
Senator Ebbin, the senator from Alexandria.
Yes, I move HB 1452 pass, and speaking to that motion.
The senator may continue.
HB 1452 requires each state agency to submit its annual report assessing its impact of its diversity, equity, and inclusion strategic plans annually to the General Assembly in addition to the governor.
The question is, shall the bill pass? Those in favor will record their votes aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Does any senator desire to change their vote? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 29, noes 10.
Ayes 29, noes 10. The bill passes.
Regular calendar, House bills on third reading. House Bill 73, a bill relating to unlawful detainer expungement, reported from the Committee for Courts of Justice with amendments and from the Committee on Finance and Appropriations.
Senator Sorovell, the senator from Eastern Fairfax County.
Thank you, Madam President. I move the committee amendments.
The question is, shall the committee amendments be agreed to? Those in favor will say aye. Those opposed, no. The committee amendments are agreed to. Senator Sorovell.
Madam President, I move the bill pass, and speaking to the motion.
Senator has the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. Ladies and gentlemen of the Senate, this is legislation from the chairman of the House Courts Committee, sort of building on a policy that I passed back in 2020. Has to do with the expungement of unlawful detainers or the expungement of evictions. The reason it's important is that if any of y'all have any involvement with the landlord-tenant business or you've ever tried to rent a property lately, you'll note that today, landlords often screen tenants using these automated algorithms online. And one of the things that these algorithms look at is how many times people have been either evicted or attempted to be evicted. And many evictions actually result in dismissals or non-suits because people end up redeeming or paying, or maybe there was a problem with the eviction. The problem is these scoring companies will score you down as a renter even if the eviction was dismissed. So 4 years ago, we passed the law allowing renters to expunge failed evictions so that they wouldn't be counted against them. What this bill does is it says that for any, it automates the process because a lot of people don't think to go hire a lawyer. They want to pay a lawyer to go do it. This basically says that if an eviction is dropped going forward, it will be automatically expunged. If it's non-suited, that is, if the plaintiff just drops it. It says if you go through the trial and there's a verdict for the defendant, then they have to still file the petition. It also says that for anything prior to July 1 of this year, that has to remain under the existing system, which is by petition. That's basically what it does, but it'll basically make it, I think, more tenants available, make it easier for people to rent property who have these dismissed evictions on their record. And this sort of will help people save some money on lawyers. Not good for me, but good for everybody else. So I would hope we would pass the bill.
The question is, shall the bill pass? Those in favor will record their votes aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Does any senator desire to change their vote? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 39, noes 0.
Ayes 39, no 0. The bill passes.
House Bill 250, a bill relating to law enforcement officers' interrogation practices, reported from the Committee on Finance and Appropriations.
Senator Somerville, the senator from Eastern Fairfax County.
Thank you, Madam President. I move the bill pass and speaking to the motion.
Senator has the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. So this bill has to do with custodial and non-custodial interrogations of adults and juveniles. And we've been dealing with this issue on and off for about the last, well, ever since I've been here. But what you'll find is that many different departments across the Commonwealth, they don't have a consistent policy as to how and when to interrogate people, whether to record it, whether to use false information in an attempt to get people to confess, et cetera. And so what this bill does is it directs the Department of Criminal Justice Services to establish a comprehensive framework or policy to recommend recommended practices on these things. These practices won't be binding on anybody, but they are recommendations. And obviously, if any departments decide to violate these recommendations, that could be used in cross-examination of a detective as part of the voluntariness of a confession. But I think it's probably a good first step towards developing a more bright line rule. A lot of people think that law enforcement should not be able to lie to you in order to get you to confess, but they actually do that a lot. And there's also important to have parents present when children are being interrogated, et cetera. And this, I think, will be a good first step towards getting some good standards in place. That's what the bill does.
Senator McDougal, the senator from Hanover.
Thank you, Madam President. Would the senators yield for a question?
Will Senator Somerville rise and yield for a question?
Sure.
Senator Somerville yields. Senator McDougal has the floor.
Madam President, and ask the gentleman, I'm looking here in the new language, and it says a policy regarding when misleading statements about a witness or co-conspirator. So would the senator interpret that to mean that a detective or investigator could not go in and say, well, your co-conspirator has already confessed? Would that be not permitted now?
Senator Somerville has the floor.
Madam President, what I would say is that it creates a policy. And so it would create standards and policies about when or whether those types of circumstances should be authorized. And I'm sure the senator is aware of some situations where this has created some real problems. For example, the Norfolk 4, which was a case we ended up, I think, settling for about $15 million, about $7 million from state taxpayers, about $7 million from Norfolk, because they basically lied to the guys and told them, well, you know, so-and-so said he did it, and so-and-so said you did it. And I've even seen this used, for example, they'll pull over a car full of juveniles, and they'll sit them on the curb. They'll find a box of beer in the back, and they'll pull them out and take them away one at a time and say, well, so-and-so said it was your beer. Oh, he did? Well, okay, I guess it was my beer. I mean, I've seen it used in all kinds of circumstances. This wouldn't create a bright line. It would just create a policy and circumstances that could be used to sort of cross-examine the police officer about whether or not it was an effective tactic.
Madam President, would the gentleman yield for additional question?
Will Senator Somerville yield?
I'll yield.
Somerville yields. Senator McDougal has the floor.
Madam President, would it also create a policy that would bar, in the case of the D.C. sniper shooting, Leroy Malvo from being questioned without his father present, who was a co-conspirator or co-actor?
Senator Somerville.
Madam President, all I can tell the gentleman is I want to say I thought we might have already passed a statute about interrogating children outside of the presence of their parents. I think that might already be code. This doesn't, again, establish bright line rules. It establishes model policies and procedures, which are not, just because a policy or procedure was violated does not necessarily lead to exclusion. And the policy the DCJS might adopt might not entirely prohibit the use of false information or interrogating children outside their parents unless we already banned it by statute, which I think we might have done. But I got to go back. Okay, you're shaking your head. I thought we did something about that earlier. Maybe I'm confusing with a different bill, but it's just a policy. It's not. It's not a bright line.
Thank the gentleman.
The question is, shall the bill pass? Those in favor will record their votes aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Does any senator desire to change their vote? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 20, noes 19.
Ayes 20, noes 19. The bill passes.
House Bill 265, removal of public officers from office, petition requirements procedure. Reported from the Committee on Privileges and Elections with a substitute.
Senator Rouse, the junior senator from Virginia Beach.
Thank you, Madam President. I move to substitute.
Question is, shall the substitute be agreed to? Those in favor will say aye. Those opposed, no. The substitute is agreed to. Senator Rouse.
Thank you, Madam President. Speak to the bill.
In what way, sir?
Move it pass and speak to the bill.
The senator has the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. House Bill 265 is a bill that is the removal of public officers from office. Petition requirements, procedure requires that the signatures collected on a petition for removal of certain public officers be collected within 90 days of the first signature being collected, and provides that no signatures gathered after such period shall count towards the required number. The substitute that was adopted in committee just clarifies that a petition must be recommended for dismissal by the Commonwealth's attorney and dismissed by a court if the allegations made in the petition are not materially different from the allegations in a previous petition against the same officer that did not result in the officer's dismissal. The substitute also allows for discovery only after a determination that valid grounds for the petition exists. Move passage of the bill.
The question is, shall the bill pass? Those in favor will record their votes aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Does any senator desire to change their vote? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 22, no 17.
Ayes 22, no 17. The bill passes.
House Bill 333, Environmental Justice, Virginia Council on Meetings and Staffing, Appointment of Members. Reported from the Committee on General Laws and Technology with amendments, and from the Committee on Finance and Appropriations.
Senator Eben, the senator from Alexandria.
Thank you, Madam President. I move HB 333 pass. And speaking to that motion.
Would you like to move the committee amendments first?
Yes, I first move the committee amendments.
The question is, shall the committee amendments be agreed to? Those in favor will say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. The committee amendments are agreed to. Senator Eben.
I move the bill pass. And speaking to that motion.
Senator may continue.
HB 333 helps fill the 8 vacancies on the Virginia Environmental Justice Council, and further, with the amendments we just adopted, makes it clear that the appointments are staggered, that they don't all come up again at one time.
The question is, shall the bill pass? Those in favor will record their votes aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Does any senator desire to change their vote? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 20, noes 19.
Ayes 20, noes 19. The bill passes.
House Bill 457, Decreasing Probation Period, Establish Criteria for Mandatory Reduction. Reported from the Committee on Rehabilitation and Social Services and from the Committee on Finance and Appropriations with a substitute.
Senator Lucas, the senator from Portsmouth.
I think Senator Lucas just yielded to me.
All right. Senator Favola, the senator from Arlington.
Thank you, Madam President. Madam President, I move that the substitute for Finance and Appropriations be agreed to.
The question is, shall the committee substitute be agreed to? Those in favor will say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. The substitute is agreed to. Senator Favola.
Madam President, I move that the bill pass. And speaking to the motion.
Senator has the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. The underlying bill here, HB 457, laid out specific criteria by which a state-supervised parolee could get a reduction in the probation sentence. However, the Finance Committee, in talking to the Department of Corrections, determined that there was a significant fiscal impact. So the substitute before us actually directs DOC to meet with stakeholders, including the Virginia Probation and Parole Association, and to look at the contents of the underlying bill and tell us what it would take to actually implement this bill, what the current practices are for reducing probation sentences, and to report back to the General Assembly November 1st, 2024. So with that explanation, I hope it's the will of the body to pass the bill. Thank you.
The question is, shall the bill pass? Those in favor will record their votes aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Does any senator desire to change their vote? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 21, noes 18.
Ayes 21, noes 18. The bill passes.
House Bill 466, Concealed Handgun Permits, Reciprocity with Other States. reported from the Committee for Courts of Justice with amendment and from the Committee on Finance and Appropriations.
Senator Somerville, the senator from Eastern Fairfax County.
Thank you, Madam President. I'd move the committee amendment.
The question is, shall the committee amendments be agreed to? Those in favor will say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. The committee amendments are agreed to. Senator Somerville.
Thank you, Madam President. I would move House Bill 466, and speaking to that motion.
Move it for passage, sir.
Yeah, move it past. Speaking to that motion.
The senator has the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. Ladies and gentlemen of the Senate, House Bill 466 basically has to do with the reciprocity of concealed weapon permits from other states. And I'll just say initially, the net effect of this law is to undo changes that were made, I want to say, in 2015, 16, something like that, which basically granted almost carte blanche authority to state police to grant reciprocity with almost every other state outside of our state. Prior to that, and what this law restores us to, is it says that the state police can only grant reciprocity to another state's concealed weapon permit if somebody applying in, say, Texas or Kentucky or California, whatever, would be denied a permit in Virginia. And in looking at that, I think it's important to recognize who would be denied a permit in Virginia. If you want to know where the list of that is, it's about 22 things under 18.2, 308.9 of the code. These include, obviously, things like being convicted of a felony, but also people who have had a temporary detention order issued against them because they're mentally ill. It's people who are subject to protective orders, people who are have been convicted of DUI, I believe, in the last 5 years. People have been convicted of 2 or more misdemeanors in the last 5 years. People who are drug addicts. People who have been convicted of drunk in public or similar offenses of other states. People who have been dishonorably discharged. People who are not legal United States citizens yet. People who local law enforcement find are likely to use a weapon negligently or to endanger other people. People who are convicted of assault, assault and battery, sexual battery, discharging a firearm, or brandishing. People who are convicted of stalking. People who have pending felonies. People who are receiving mental health treatment or substance abuse treatment in a residential setting within the last 5 years. These are the types of people that can now get a concealed weapon permit or get one out of state and come into Virginia and use that out-of-state permit here in Virginia. This seems to restore the law to where it was, where all those people I just listed off cannot use an out-of-state permit to carry in Virginia. In addition to that, the amendment that was added by the Courts of Justice Committee directs the Attorney General to conduct a comprehensive review of all of the other states and report back which states are no longer given reciprocity by December the 1st, 2024. The point of that is to make sure the Attorney General can't slow walk this. But that's basically what the bill does. As you know, in many states, they basically give out a concealed weapon permit if you have a pulse and they're not a felon. That's not the law in this state. And from our perspective, if people are going to use an out-of-state permit, concealed weapon permit in this state, it ought to be at least as strong as the standards we have in this state. I'd hope the bill could pass.
Senator Suderline, the senator from Roanoke.
Madam President, speaking briefly to the bill.
Senator has the floor.
Madam President, I remember this policy change very well. It was brought in by this fire-breathing, gun-toting governor named Terry McAuliffe. And he said this is what we ought to do to increase reciprocity. No, what happened was we had a very reasonable, lengthy discussion, and it was part of a grand compromise negotiated by the senator from Orange, the former senator from Northern Fairfax, Janet Howe, and several other people, and we made several changes all at once. And I've not heard of one instance why we should change this since then. And if there are, I'm happy to entertain them. But this was a good compromise that we came together with, And when people talk about how rarely Republicans and Democrats can work together on anything related to firearms, this was one of those times, and now it looks like it's going to be tried to be undone.
Senator Favola, the senator from Arlington.
Madam President, speaking to passage of the bill.
The senator has the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. I just want to note that as part of that compromise, we were trying very hard to expand background checks, and we couldn't get a bill through. So the compromise was there would be state police, and there could be a voluntary opportunity at, actually, I think it was at shows, at gun shows, to have background checks taken care of. We were really trying to close that loophole on gun shows, and a decision was made that okay, having the state police there would be the compromise. That's not a legislative mandate, but it's a step forward, and therefore we will go along with the reciprocity. So I just think we should, for full disclosure, have the information available to us on what that compromise was. I think that this bill is a good step forward, and I think it's a place we should be at. So having said that, I hope the bill passes.
Madam President.
Senator Suderline.
Just to speak briefly, I would tell the senator from Arlington that she's correct, and we've upheld our side, and we're not trying to undo that. Thank you, Madam President.
Senator Somerville, the senator from Eastern Fairfax County.
Speaking to the bill, if no one else desires to speak.
The senator may continue.
Thank you, Madam President. You know, first of all, when this so-called compromise came through, I was one of the people that voted no on it, along with many other people in my caucus. I wasn't bound by some deal that was cut by the governor at the time. I wasn't consulted. Most of my caucus wasn't. But at the time, if you'll remember, we hadn't passed a single law improving gun violence prevention in probably over a decade. And at the time we passed the law, the quid for the quo for this law was getting a little tiny protective order thing passed. I think that was it. And it was in reaction because the Attorney General had just issued an AG's opinion throwing out all these reciprocity agreements. To me, the choice on this is pretty simple. You either want Virginians who were recently institutionalized, who are drug addicts, who are proven to be violent, people who have all kinds of documented, people who like to brandish, people who like to threaten people with weapons. If you want to make it possible for them to go over to Texas and get a concealed weapon permit so they can come back to Virginia and conceal carry because our law prohibits it, then vote red on this. If that's what you want. If you think that sort of mentally ill, mentally unstable, drug addicts, domestic abusers, stalkers, those kinds of people deserve to be able to carry around weapons in their pocket, vote red. That's the choice. Do you want to keep our community safe? Do you want to make concealed weapon permits for people who are truly law-abiding, people who are truly safe, which is what we hear all the time? Then vote green. That's the choice here.
For what purpose does the senator from King George rise?
Would the gentleman from Fairfax rise to yield for
Will
a
the
question?
senator from Eastern Fairfax County rise and yield?
Happy to revisit the floor debate I had in 2016.
Senator Somerville yields. Senator Stewart has the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. I recall that floor debate, and I recall the grand bargain, as some would put it. We did close the gun show loophole, and I voted for that some time ago. So we kept our side of that bargain, and we did vote for the expanded protections with regard to protective orders, and I voted for that as well for the senator from Fairfax, Senator Howe. But curiously enough, the gentleman from Fairfax just cited a number of instances where these folks are going to Texas to get a concealed carry permit, and I'm wondering if he has statistics to back that up and to show us that this is in fact a problem in Virginia or a solution in search of a problem.
Senator Somerville has the floor.
Madam President, I don't have any statistics. All I know is what is possible to do if this passes. And I haven't checked Texas law in the last 6 years. But I remember that the requirements down there were pretty loose. And there were some states that were giving out concealed weapon permits like Chiclets. And those are the states that I'm looking to make sure that those states aren't going to have a bunch of dangerous Virginians carrying these weapons around their pockets. I think it was 2015, by the way, it wasn't 16.
Thank you, Madam President. I think the gentleman just confirmed that this is a solution in search of a problem.
Senator Peake, the senator from Lynchburg.
Yes, Madam President, rise to speak to the bill.
Senator may continue.
And I would like to answer that was a great question that the senator from King George asked the senator from Fairfax, which is also the exact same question I asked the patron of the bill in committee. Could you name a single instance of a crime in Virginia the last year, 2 years, or 5 years where someone with a concealed carry permit from another state, or really actually in Virginia, committed one of these crimes that the senator from Fairfax was referencing? There were none, and we still have none. This is an unnecessary bill. I ask you to vote against it.
The question is, shall the bill pass? Those in favor will record their votes aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Does any senator desire to change their vote? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 20, noes 19.
Ayes 20, noes 19. The bill passes.
House Bill 623, Rights of Voters, Covered Practices, Civil Cause of Action, Standing Jurisdiction, and Venue. Reported from the Committee on Privileges and Elections with a substitute.
Senator Rouse, the junior senator from Virginia Beach.
Thank you, Madam President. I move to substitute be agreed to.
The question is, shall the substitute be agreed to? Those in favor will say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. The substitute is agreed to. Senator Rouse.
Thank you, Madam President. I move passage of the bill and speaking to that motion.
The senator may continue.
Thank you, Madam President. House Bill 623, the rights of voters, covered practices, civil cause of action, standing jurisdiction, and venue provides that in addition to voters who are members of a protected class and the Attorney General, any organization whose membership includes voters who are members of a protected class or any organization whose mission, in whole or in part, to ensure voting access shall be entitled to institute a civil cause of action for alleged violations of certain laws related to the rights of voters. The substitute just adds changes to a voter satellite location as a covered practice under the Virginia Voting Rights Act. The substitute also adds provisions that would allow a local governing body to adopt a yearly plan for voter satellite offices. Such a plan will allow for flexibility in locations and hours for different elections and provide for parameters for permissible deviations from such plans. Madam President, I renew my motion for passage of the bill.
The question is, shall the bill pass? Those in favor will record their votes aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Does any senator desire to change their vote? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 20, noes 19.
Ayes 20, noes 19. The bill passes.
House Bill 637, Substantial Risk Order Training Program, Department of Criminal Justice Services to establish. Reported from the Committee on Finance and Appropriations.
Senator Sorovell, the senator from Eastern Fairfax County.
Thank you, Madam President. I move the bill pass and speak to that motion.
The senator has the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. Ladies and gentlemen of the Senate, this bill is a sort of a different spin on a bill that I had earlier this session involving red flag orders. This one has to do with setting up a training program for localities so they will learn how to issue these things. As I talked earlier, there's a lot of localities in the state that are doing a really good job deploying red flag orders. Counties like Fairfax, Prince William, Hampton, York. There's Hanover, but there's many others that are not. And under the, I think it was called the Bipartisan Safer Communities Act, which was a federal law that was passed under the Trump administration. There was a bunch of federal money that was made available to teach departments how to use these things. There's about $7 million that Virginia has left laying on the table that this administration has refused to pull down. And this bill basically creates a program which this federal money won't cost Virginia taxpayers a dime unless they want to pay for these programs in other states. to draw down so we can use red flag orders in our state. Red flag orders are supported by 85% of the public. They do not seem to be a partisan issue outside of this building. And I would hope that we could pass this bill so we can draw down this money, use these things more, and save some lives in Virginia.
The question is, shall the bill pass? Those in favor will record their votes aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Does any senator desire to change their vote? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 20, noes 19.
Ayes 20, noes 19. The bill passes.
House Bill 797, concealed handguns, demonstrated competence for a permit, firearms instructors and safety programs. Reported from the Committee for Courts of Justice and from the Committee on Finance and Appropriations.
Senator Surville,
Thank you, Madam President. I move that House Bill 797 pass and speak to that motion.
would you like to?
Oh, we have a committee amendment. I'm sorry. I'd move the committee amendment.
The question is, shall the committee amendment be agreed to? Those in favor will say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. The committee amendment is agreed to. Senator Surville.
Thank you, Madam President. I move House Bill 797 pass and speak to the motion.
The senator has the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. So the committee amendment just delayed the effectiveness of this to about 6 months to January 1 of 2025. But basically what this bill does, it says that if you want to have a concealed weapon permit, you have to basically do some live fire training. You have to show you know how to actually shoot a gun instead of just carry it in your pocket. The bill also eliminates the reference to the National Rifle Association as a possible training class. It doesn't give that sort of presumptive effect. But it basically just ensures that people who want to carry guns in their pockets actually know how to operate them and shoot them. That's basically what the bill does.
The question is, shall the bill pass? Those in favor will record their votes aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Does any senator desire to change their vote? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 20, noes 19.
Ayes 20, noes 19. The bill passes.
House Bill 798, a bill relating to purchase, possession, or transportation of firearm following an assault and battery or stalking violation. Prohibition period penalty. Reported from the Committee for Courts of Justice and from the Committee on Finance and Appropriations, and there is a floor amendment.
Senator Surville, the senator from Eastern Fairfax County.
Thank you, Madam President. I would ask that bill go by for the day.
Without objection, House Bill 798 goes by for the day.
House Bill 799, a bill relating to concealed handgun permit applications, fingerprints required by local governments. Reported from the Committee for Courts of Justice and from the Committee on Finance and Appropriations with amendment.
Senator Surville.
Thank you, Madam President. I move House Bill 799 pass and speak to the, I move the committee amendment.
The question is, shall the committee amendments be agreed to? Those in favor will say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. The committee amendments are agreed to. Senator Surville.
Thank you, Madam President. Now I would ask that House Bill 799 pass and speak to the motion.
The senator has the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. So, House Bill 799. This one basically requires anybody applying for a concealed weapon permit to also submit their fingerprints. The amendment you just adopted assesses the cost of those fingerprints against the applicant, so there's no fiscal impact on the bill. I believe what this does, my recollection is back when I served in another body, another time and place, we repealed the fingerprint requirement. The reason the fingerprint requirement is important is that so you know people are not using identity theft in order to obtain a concealed weapon permit. So by pulling fingerprints, it actually allows you to pull a fingerprint-based background check, which allows you to verify that the person who's applying is who they say they are and that they don't have a history of crimes or criminal infractions. And that's basically what the bill does.
The question is, shall the bill pass? Senator Obenshain, the senator from Rockingham.
Madam President, I'd ask if the senator would yield for question.
Will Senator Surville yield for a question?
I yield as long as he's not asking me for specific examples because it's not my bill.
Senator Surville yields. Senator Obenshain has the floor.
Madam President, I would ask the senator, since with respect to the last bill we talked about, he was unable to cite a single instance of a person who would not meet the qualifications he felt that we should be expecting people to meet. How about with respect to this bill? Are there people who have been using a false name or who have gotten a concealed carry permit in a name other than their own that has been prosecuted or has come to light? Or is this like fraudulent voting in which it can't possibly have existed because nobody's been prosecuted for it?
Senator Surville.
Madam President, what I would tell the senator is, number one, it's not my bill, it's Delegate Hope's bill, and I didn't do the research for it. He did, and he didn't give me talking points. He might have that. I don't know. I'd have to go ask him. But I would also point out that I want to say back in maybe about 2012 or 13, then Delegate Ben Klein carried a bill, which I opposed, which basically made the names of everybody with a concealed weapon permit a secret. So you're not even allowed to see who applied. It's totally under court seal. So there's absolutely no way to figure out who applies or who has them or who doesn't. So it's a lot harder to try and figure out if somebody obtained one fraudulently. The list used to be made much more publicly available until then. And so it's very hard to detect this kind of fraud, but I'm not aware of any personally made aware to me. And I can ask Delegate Hope whether he has examples, but that's how I would answer it.
Madam President, speaking to this bill.
Senator Obenshade may continue.
Madam President, this is a solution in search of a problem. The reason that we passed that legislation exempting concealed carry permits from the requirements of FOIA is because we don't want people targeting or doxing or whatever, people who for legitimate reasons seek to get a concealed carry permit. The state police have that information. The local law enforcement has that information. It is available. And if there was a single instance in which somebody had gotten a concealed carry permit and committed a crime and had somehow been found to have gotten that concealed carry permit under some fake name, we'd hear about it. Madam President, I would respectfully submit that this is not a necessary piece of legislation. I would hope the members would vote against it.
The question is, shall the bill pass? Those in favor will record their votes aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? If all the senators voted, does any senator desire to change their vote? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 20, noes 19.
Ayes 20, noes 19. The bill passes.
House Bill 803, Juveniles Expungement of Court Records. Reported from the Committee for Courts of Justice with a substitute and from the Committee on Finance and Appropriations with a substitute, and there is a floor substitute.
Senator Surville.
Is a floor sub?
The floor substitute is the Surville substitute.
Wow, okay. Why don't we take that by temporarily so I can figure out my sub?
Without objection, House Bill 803 goes by temporarily.
House Bill 838, Police and Court Records Expungement Definition of Otherwise Dismissed. Reported from the Committee for Courts of Justice with a substitute and from the Committee on Finance and Appropriations with an amendment.
Senator Surville.
Thank you, Madam President. Can I go by for the day? It needs another amendment, I think.
Without objection, House Bill 838 goes by for the day.
House Bill 861, Weapons Carrying into Hospital that Provides Mental Health Services. Reported from the Committee for Courts of Justice and from the Committee on Finance and Appropriations.
Senator Surville, the senator from Eastern Fairfax County.
Thank you, Madam President. I move that House Bill 861 pass and speak to that motion.
The senator has the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. This bill before you is identical, I believe, to Senate Bill 504 by the senator from Norfolk, which passed this body probably 2119 is my guess. It has a delayed effectiveness date till July 1 of 2026. But basically what the bill does is it makes it illegal to carry weapons into hospitals that provide mental health services. I know Centera was a big proponent of this. They put up some metal detectors and discovered something like 2,000 people carrying weapons in like a 6-month period. It was completely insane. And this bill would prevent that and keep our hospitals safer. And I would hope we would similarly treat it the way we did the last Senate bill, Senator from the Senator from Norfolk.
The question is, shall the bill pass? Those in favor will record their votes aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Does any senator desire to change their vote? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 19, noes 19.
Chair votes no.
Madam Chair, Madam President,
For what purpose does the senator from Charlottesville rise?
prevailing side whereby that bill failed, I move that we reconsider that vote.
One moment, Senator. The question is, shall the vote by which House Bill 861 passed, failed, will be reconsidered? Those in favor of that motion will record their votes aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Does any senator desire to change their vote? Clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 39, noes 0.
Ayes 39, no 0. The bill is reconsidered. Senator Surville.
Thank you, Madam President. Having been previously explained, I move that House Bill 861 pass.
The question is, shall the bill pass? Those in favor will record their votes aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Does any senator desire to change their vote? Clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 20, noes 19.
Ayes 20, noes 19. The bill fails.
House Bill 916.
Madam President, parliamentary inquiry.
Yes, the bill passes.
You said failed.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Sorry.
The bill passes.
Got it.
Going too fast. Thank you.
Got it.
House Bill 916, Substantial Risk Order Reporting System established. Reported from the Committee on Finance and Appropriations.
Senator Surville.
Thank you, Madam President. I move House Bill 916. And speaking to that motion.
The senator has the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. This bill is pretty simple. It basically just requires the state police to publish a list of substantial risk orders, the emergency ones and the permanent ones that are issued every month by jurisdiction. The state police can already do this, but they don't put it up online, so you only get it if you send an email to the superintendent and ask him for it. Or this just basically puts it up online so everybody can see it, and it removes the names and personal identifying information of anybody before it goes online. It's just pure numbers. That's all it is. I'd hope we could pass the bill so that there's broader awareness about how often and frequently these are being used.
The question is, shall the bill pass? Those in favor will record their votes aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Does any senator desire to change their vote? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 20, noes 19.
Ayes 20, noes 19. The bill passes.
House Bill 939, Elections Administration prohibits possession of firearm within 100 feet of certain locations. Reported from the Committee on Privileges and Elections with a substitute.
Senator Rouse, a junior senator from Virginia Beach.
Thank you, Madam President. I move the substitute be agreed to.
Question is, shall the substitute be agreed to? Those in favor will say aye. Those opposed, no. The substitute is agreed to. Senator Rouse.
Thank you, Madam President. I move passage of this bill and speaking to it.
The senator may continue.
House Bill 939 prohibits possession of a firearm within 100 feet of certain location, and it clarifies that the provisions of the law prohibiting certain activities or conduct in and around a polling place shall also apply to locations where absentee voting in person is available. The substitute just clarifies that a person must both knowingly carry on or about his person a firearm, and 2, do so knowingly within 100 feet of a polling place, and that substitute came from the conversation on the committee. With that, I move the passage of the bill.
The question is, shall the bill pass? Those in favor will record their votes aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Does any senator desire to change their vote? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 20, noes 19.
Ayes 20, noes 19. The bill passes.
House Bill 959, towing violations enforcement, reported from the Committee on Finance and Appropriations with a substitute.
Thank you, Madam President. I move the substitute.
Senator Boysko. The question is, shall the substitute be agreed to? Those in favor will say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. The substitute is agreed to. Senator Boysko, the senator from Northern Fairfax.
Thank you, Madam President. I move passage of the bill and speaking to it briefly.
The senator has the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. HB 952 is a bill that puts towing policy in line with the rest of the state. It authorizes localities in planning districts 8 and 16 to require written authorization of owners of the property from which the vehicle is towed at the same time it is being towed. This is the current law everywhere else in the state, and I move passage of the bill.
The question is, shall House Bill 959 pass? Those in favor will record their votes aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Does any senator desire to change their vote? Clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 37, noes 2.
Ayes 37, noes 2. The bill passes.
House Bill 985, high polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbon, prohibits pavement sealants that contain civil penalty. Reported from the Committee on Finance and Appropriations, reported from the Committee on Agriculture, Conservation, and Natural Resources.
Senator Marsden, the senior senator from Fairfax County.
Thank you, Madam President. I move that the bill pass and speaking to the measure.
The senator has the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. This prohibits the sale or distribution of any pavement sealant that contains polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbon concentrations greater than 1% by weight on or after July 1st, 2024, except that a retailer may continue to sell any existing inventory that remains in the stock on that date. The bill also prohibits the application or use of such sealants on or after July 1st, 2025. Any person who violates either prohibition is subject to a civil penalty of $250 to be paid into the Virginia Environmental Emergency Response Fund, and I'm assured that there are other products that are safer to use to accomplish the purpose of the sealant. And with that, I reiterate my motion that the bill pass.
The question is, shall the bill pass? Those in favor will record their votes aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Does any senator desire to change their vote? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 23, noes 14.
Ayes 23, noes 14. The bill passes.
House Bill 1002, Renewable Energy and Energy Efficiency, Division of Powers and Duties, reported from the Committee on Agriculture, Conservation, and Natural Resources.
Senator Marsden, the senior senator from Fairfax.
Thank you, Madam President. I move that the bill pass and speaking to the measure.
The senator has the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. This requires the Department of Energy's Division of Renewable Energy and Energy Efficiency to identify and monitor any federal grant programs, loan programs, or other opportunities for federal funding to further the Commonwealth's energy efficiency goals, and I move that the bill pass.
The question is, shall the bill pass? Those in favor will record their votes aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Does any senator desire to change their vote? Clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 39, noes 0.
Ayes 39, no 0. The bill passes.
House Bill 1171, absentee voting, processing absentee ballots returned before Election Day, processing upon receipt. Reported from the Committee on Privileges and Elections with amendments.
Senator Rouse.
Madam President,
can
that bill go by for the day?
Without objection, House Bill 1171 goes by for the day.
House Bill 1244, restorative housing and isolated confinement restrictions on use. Reported from the Committee on Rehabilitation and Social Services with amendments and from the Committee on Finance and Appropriations.
Senator Favola, the senator from Arlington.
Thank you, Madam President. Madam President, I move that the amendments from Rehabilitation and Social Services be agreed to.
The question is, shall the committee amendments be agreed to? Those in favor will say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. The committee amendments are agreed to. Senator Favola.
Thank you, Madam President. I move that the bill pass, and speaking to that motion.
Senator may continue.
Okay. With the amendments that were added in Rehab and Social Services, HB 1244 is now identical to Senate Bill 719, which passed out of this body and out of the House of Delegates already. This bill has to do with limiting the use of isolated confinement. And what it does is it lays out very specific criteria. An individual must be at imminent risk of physical harm, or there must be a serious medical condition. The framework says no more than 15 days in a 60-day period. An individual must be evaluated both from a mental health perspective and from a full physical evaluation within 24 hours of being sent to isolated confinement. And then every 48 hours, there has to be a justification and checking in on that individual. So this bill has been worked on. We have seen versions of it over the past few sessions. I think it's a very good bill. And again, it is identical to a bill that passed out of this body. I hope it is the will of the body to pass this House bill as well. Thank you.
The question is, shall the bill pass? Those in favor will record their votes aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Does any senator desire to change their vote? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 20, noes 19.
Ayes 20, noes 19. The bill passes.
House Bill 1287, Towing Companies, Provision of Existing Law Authorizing Localities in Planning District 8. Reported from the Committee on Finance and Appropriations.
Senator Boysko, the senator from Northern Fairfax.
Thank you, Madam President. I move the bill pass, and speaking to the motion.
Senator has the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. This is another one of the towing bills that puts Planning District 8 in the same posture as the rest of the state. It would require towing companies that tow from the county to a storage or release location outside of the county to obtain a permit to do so, and not to restrict or modify the locality's ability to obtain that permit. And I so move.
The question is, shall the bill pass? Those in favor will record their votes aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Does any senator desire to change their vote? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 36, noes 2.
Ayes 36, noes 2. The bill passes.
House Bill 1354, Cats, Prohibition on Declawing. Reported from the Committee on Agriculture, Conservation, and Natural Resources with a substitute.
Senator Marsden, the senator from senior senator from Fairfax.
Thank you, Madam President, for making them stop. Thank you. Madam President, I move that the bill pass, and speaking to that.
Would you like to move the substitute first, sir?
Oh, let's move the substitute first. Yes, ma'am.
The question is, shall the substitute be accepted? Those in favor will say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. The substitute is accepted. Senator Marsden.
Thank you, Madam President. This makes unlawful the practice of declawing cats.
Would you like now to move the bill's passage?
I thought I had. I move that the bill pass. And speaking to that.
The senator may continue.
Thank you, Madam President. This makes unlawful the practice of declawing cats for any person engaged in the practice of veterinary medicine except as necessary for a therapeutic purpose as defined in the bill. The committee substitute that you just adopted adds a provision allowing declawing to protect the life and health of an owner with certain infections, diseases, or disorders as documented by a licensed physician. Thank you, Madam President.
The question is, shall the bill pass? Those in favor of that motion will record their votes aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Does any senator desire to change their vote? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 25, noes 13, Rule 36-1.
Ayes 25, noes 13, Rule 36-1. The bill passes.
House Bill 1458, Chief Resilience Officer of the Commonwealth moves position under the governor, etc. Reported from the Committee on Agriculture, Conservation, and Natural Resources with a substitute, and from the Committee on Finance and Appropriations.
Senator Marsden.
Thank you, Madam President. I move that first I'd like to move that the substitute be agreed to.
Question is, shall the substitute be agreed to? Those in favor will say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. The substitute is agreed to. Senator Marsden.
Thank you, Madam President. This creates an Office of Commonwealth Resilience to support the
Your
Commonwealth's...
motion, Senator?
Was that?
Your motion?
Move that the bill pass.
The senator has the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. Creates an Office of Commonwealth Resilience to support the Commonwealth Resilience Officer in his functions and duties. The original bill that I had turned in, a similar bill, had called for the bill to be transferred to the Office of the Governor, but this keeps it under the Office of the Secretary of Natural Resources. The bill requires the CRO to convene an interagency resilience management team to support the coordination of planning and implementation of resilience efforts. It eliminates the special assistant to the governor for coastal adaptation and protection and requires the director of the Department of Conservation and Recreation to convene an advisory review committee to assist in the distribution of loans and grants from the Virginia Community Flood Preparedness Fund. The bill also requires the director to convene an advisory review committee to assist in the distribution of loans and grants from the Resilient Virginia Recovery Fund and adds the Secretary of Natural and Historic Resources and the CRO to the list of those with whom the Virginia Resources Authority is required to consult in directing the distribution of funds or grants from the fund. The bill also requires for the two funds the department to make available for public inspection at the Office of the Department on a publicly accessible website records of such application for grants and loans and the actions taken thereon, and provides an opportunity for a 30-day public comment period to each new grant or loan offering to solicit feedback or on proposed revisions to the fund's manual. And I reiterate my motion that the bill pass.
The question is, shall the bill pass? Those in favor will record their votes aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Does any senator desire to change their vote? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 36, noes 3.
Ayes 36, noes 3. The bill passes.
House Bill 81, Suicide Abolishes Common Law Crime, reported from the Committee for Courts of Justice with an amendment.
Senator Somerville, the senator from Eastern Fairfax County.
No more, I give up. Madam President, move the bill pass.
Would you like to move the committee amendments?
I move the committee amendments.
The question is, shall the committee amendments be agreed to? Those in favor will say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. The committee amendments are agreed to. Senator Somerville.
Move the bill pass and speed that motion.
The senator may continue.
All right, one more bill today. This one has to do with the common law crime of suicide. We adopted the English common law back in the olden days, and there's actually still some crimes on the books that actually do not appear in the code, this being one of them, another one being common law trespass, and a few others. This basically repeals that British common law crime. This is something we've sort of been dealing with. I've probably been seeing this legislation 8, 9, 10 times in the last 15 years I've been here. The concern has always been what's the effect on life insurance by doing that, and nobody's ever really been able to answer that. So basically what the bill does is it abolishes the crime and then it adds an enactment clause creating a delayed effective date for 1 year and requires a report from the Bureau of Insurance by November 1 of this year, asking them to answer this question that everybody always asks but nobody ever has the answer to. Well, how's this going to affect life insurance? So that's basically what the bill does. I hope we can finally get this done, move it on. A lot of people feel like having this common law crime on the books creates a I don't know, an uncomfortable situation, and I think we, for obvious reasons, I would hope we could pass the bill.
The question is, shall the bill pass? Those in favor will record their votes aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Does any senator desire to change their vote? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 20, noes 19.
Ayes 20, noes 19. The bill passes.
House Bill 122, Environmental Quality Department of Review and Authorization of Projects, Hearing and Appeal, reported from the Committee for Courts of Justice with an amendment.
Senator Somerville.
Thank you, Madam President. I move the committee amendment.
Question is, shall the committee amendments be agreed to? Those in favor will say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. The committee amendments are agreed to. Senator Surville.
Thank you, Madam President. Move the bill pass and speaking to the motion.
The senator has the floor.
Ladies and gentlemen of the Senate, this bill, as you just amended it, is now identical to Senate Bill 580 by the senator from Charlottesville, which I believe passed this body 22-18. The bill basically says that if you've got an issue with a DEQ ruling, that you have to file your case in the City of Richmond Circuit Court instead of the locality wherever the project happened to be. That's basically what the bill does. We've already heard this and debated it. I'd hope we could treat it similarly.
The question is, shall the bill pass? Those in favor will record their votes aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Does any senator desire to change their vote? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 22, noes 16.
Ayes 22, no 16. The bill passes.
House Bill 184, foreclosure procedures, subordinate mortgage affidavit required. Reported from the Committee for Courts of Justice with a substitute, and there are 3 floor amendments.
Senator Surville.
Thank you, Madam President. I would move the committee substitute.
The question is, shall the substitute be agreed to? Those in favor will say aye. Those opposed, no. The substitute is agreed to. Senator Surville.
Thank you, Madam President. I would move to waive reading of the floor amendments.
The question is, shall the reading of the floor amendments be waived? Those in favor will say aye. Those opposed, no. The reading of the floor amendments are waived. Senator Surville.
Thank you, Madam President. I would move the floor amendments and speaking to the motion.
The senator has the floor.
Ladies and gentlemen of the Senate, this bill has to do with the zombie mortgages or zombie seconds. And no, this is not about what zombies eat or what zombies do second. These are about zombie second mortgages. And the main opposition we heard in committee to the bill was from the bankers. This floor amendment you have in front of you basically takes the banks and the credit unions 100% out of the bill and makes them happy and eliminates any opposition that at least was heard in committee. I would hope we could adopt the floor amendment so we can get on with the main bill.
The question is, shall the floor amendment be agreed to? Those in favor will say aye. Those opposed, no. The floor amendment is agreed to. Senator Surville.
Thank you, Madam President. So now here's what you got in front of you. Y'all might recall that back in the days of when the real estate market was booming, 2001, 2, 3, 4, and 5, before everything came crashing down, one of the ways that people like to try to obtain a mortgage and avoid having to pay mortgage insurance is you would get a mortgage for 80% of the appraised value of a home. And then people would often get a second mortgage for the remaining 10% to bring them to 90% equity. And often that second mortgage would be an adjustable rate mortgage, usually on like a 7 to 15-year term, something like that. And what often happened with these things, after the real estate market crashed, people would, their interest rate would adjust, the mortgage payment would double, and they were unable to get refinancing because property values had crashed. A lot of these second mortgages, even a lot of the first, they end up being sold off and securitized to third parties. They get put in these big batches and turned into tranches. They make them into bonds. They go off. But then when people stop paying because their mortgage payment doubled or tripled, they'll often get sold to a debt buyer so that they can liquidate this bad debt for something. And often you will see like a mortgage for like maybe $40,000, $50,000, $100,000 sold as part of a package where the actual mortgage itself is sold for like $1 or maybe $2 or $5 because it's bad debt. So what happens is these debt buyers swoop in, they buy up hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands of these things for pennies on the dollar. Then they hire some people to go look through all these records to try and figure out if there might be people out there that they can go after. And the reason they go after them is because the mortgage company has charged off the debt. They basically said, we're not going to keep sending invoices. We're not going to treat this as good debt anymore. The person maybe pulls their credit. They'll look in their credit report. They'll see the second mortgage on there, and it'll say charged off. They're not getting a monthly statement anymore. They think this is beyond them. It's gone. It's been written off. They don't have to worry about it. Then unbeknownst to them, 7, 8, 9, 10, 15 years later, the debt buyer shows up, having bought this $40,000, $50,000, $100,000 mortgage for $1, discovers that they have now built some equity in their home on their first mortgage, which they've continued to pay, and they initiate a foreclosure action against them to basically snatch from them all this equity they've built up over the last 10 or 15 years. This is a problem because under the Truth in Lending Act, which is federal law, a mortgage servicer is not allowed to try to enforce a mortgage unless they issue regular monthly statements to somebody so they know they still owe money. These debt buyers don't care about that, and they try to enforce anyway. It ends up causing these people a lot of legal headache and nightmare, and unless they hire a good lawyer, they can often end up not realizing what's happening and losing all the equity in their home. And what this bill basically says is you cannot initiate a Virginia foreclosure action on a second zombie mortgage unless you have been issuing them the monthly statements that you're required to issue under federal law. It prevents people from having money stolen from them by these debt buyers that are buying their debt for like $1, $2, $5, whatever. The bill is amended. I'm not aware of it having any opposition now that we've taken the banks and the credit unions out of it. I would hope we could pass this so we can provide Virginians some fair protection against their home equity being stolen.
Question is, shall the bill pass? Those in favor will record their votes aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Does any senator desire to change their vote? Clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 20, noes 19.
Ayes 20, noes 19. The bill passes.
House Bill 215, High School Students Development of Title IX and Sexual Harassment Prevention Training and Modules. Reported from the Committee on Education and Health with a substitute.
Senator Hashmi, the senator from Chesterfield.
Thank you, Madam President. I move the committee substitute be agreed to.
Question is, shall the substitute be agreed to? Those in favor will say aye. Those opposed, no. The substitute is agreed to. Senator Hashmi.
Thank you. I now move that HB 215 pass, and speaking to that motion.
Senator has the floor.
HB 215 is dealing with the need to ensure that our students are informed about Title IX and sexual harassment prevention. It requires the Department of Education to develop culturally appropriate as well as age-appropriate and trauma-informed Title IX sexual harassment prevention training modules and to make those training modules available to each school board by July 1 of 2025 for the education of high school students beginning the following academic school year. I renew my motion that HB 215 pass.
The question is, shall the bill pass? Those in favor will record their votes aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Does any senator desire to change their vote? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 22, noes 16.
Ayes 22, no 16. The bill passes.
House Bill 224, Public Schools Mental Health Awareness Training. Reported from the Committee on Education and Health with amendments.
Senator Hashmi.
Thank you, Madam President. I move the committee amendments be agreed to.
The question is, shall the committee amendments be agreed to? Those in favor will say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. The committee amendments are agreed to. Senator Hashmi.
Madam President, I now move that HB 224 pass, and speaking to that motion.
Senator may continue.
This bill requires that each teacher and other relevant personnel who are employed full-time on a full-time basis complete a mental health awareness training that addresses the needs of youth populations that are at high risk of experiencing mental health challenges and disorders. And current law requires such teachers and personnel to complete mental health awareness training, but doesn't contain any requirements relating to specific topics. And so this clarifies the topics that should be addressed in such training. Again, I renew my motion that HB 224 pass.
The question is, shall the bill pass? Those in favor will record their votes aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Does any senator desire to change their vote? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 20, noes 19.
Ayes 20, noes 19. The bill passes.
House Bill 257, sickle cell anemia, prescription of opioids for pain management. Reported from the Committee on Education and Health.
Senator Hashmi, the senator from Chesterfield.
Thank you, Madam President. I move that HB 257 pass, and speaking briefly to that motion.
The senator has the floor.
HB 257 is concerning sickle cell anemia and the need to have opioid prescription for pain management. This bill exempts prescribers from certain requirements of the prescription monitoring program related to prescribing opioids if the opioid is being prescribed to a patient for pain management that's related to sickle cell anemia. Again, I renew my motion that this bill pass.
The question is, shall the bill pass? Those in favor will record their votes aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Does any senator desire to change their vote? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 39, no 0.
Ayes 39, no 0. The bill passes.
House Bill 267, assault or assault and battery against a law enforcement officer, prosecution of an individual. Reported from the Committee for Courts of Justice with a substitute.
Senator Sorovell, the senator from Eastern Fairfax County.
Thank you, Madam President. I move the committee substitute.
The question is, shall the committee substitute be agreed to? Those in favor will say aye. Those opposed, no. The committee substitute is agreed to. One moment, Senator. Had the wrong substitute in front of me. The senator will continue. Senator Sorovell.
Having adopted the substitute, I move the bill pass and speak to that motion.
The senator has the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. House Bill 267 is a little teeny tiny bite off a big bill I tried to pass about 4 years ago. The bill is close to Senate Bill 357 by the senator from Northern Fairfax, which already passed 2119. This bill basically creates an affirmative defense to anybody who's charged with assault or assault and battery against the law enforcement officer if they can establish they have a mental illness, neurocognitive disorder, such as autism, etc. The one thing that's different from the bill that you all heard earlier is that this bill adds to that list of different types of mental illnesses that count as a person whose behaviors were the result of a neurocognitive disorder, including dementia. As many of you might know, often when people begin suffering from dementia, they tend to have a little more violent tendencies and can overreact in certain scenarios. And this would afford them the ability to participate in this affirmative defense. I would hope we could pass this bill.
The question is, shall the bill pass? Those in favor will record their votes aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Does any senator desire to change their vote? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 20, noes 19.
Ayes 20, noes 19. The bill passes.
House Bill 324, PA Licensure Compact authorizes Virginia to become a signatory to compact. Reported from the Committee on Education and Health.
Senator Hashmi, the senator from Chesterfield.
Thank you, Madam President. I move that HB 324 pass, and speaking to that motion.
Senator has the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. HB 324 is the Physician Assistants Licensure Compact. This is similar to all the other licensure compacts that we have seen in the last few years, as well as others that we are seeing this year. This compact would authorize Virginia to become a signatory to the PA Licensure Compact that is in the process of being agreed to by other states. The compact permits eligible physician assistants to practice in the compact participating states, provided that they are licensed in at least one participating state. And the compact has been passed in 3 states. It will take into effect once 7 states have passed it in the country, and Virginia has the opportunity to be an initial signatory state, and I move that HB 324 pass.
Senator Reeves, the senator from Orange.
Ma'am, I'm at a loss here. I don't have a bill up. You calling me to speak?
I thought you were standing up because you wanted to speak to the bill. No?
No, ma'am, I have a bad back.
Oh.
I'm sorry, Madam President.
Sorry to hear. The question is, shall the bill pass? Those in favor will record their votes aye. Those opposed, no. The senator is ready to vote. Have all the senators voted? Does any senator desire to change their vote? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 33, no 7.
Ayes 33, no 7. The bill passes.
House Bill 398, Public Elementary and Secondary Schools, Student Discipline, etc. Reported from the Committee on Education and Health with a substitute.
Again, Senator Hashmi.
Madam President, I move the committee substitute, move that it be agreed to.
The question is, shall the committee substitute be agreed to? Those in favor will say aye. Those opposed, no. The substitute is agreed to. Senator Hashmi.
Madam President, HB 398 is concerning the...
Your motion, Senator?
I move that HB 398 pass, and speaking to that motion.
Senator has the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. This bill focuses on student discipline, and it would prohibit, except in certain cases that involve critical concerns with our students, such as issues with firearms, drug possession, delinquency, conviction of certain crimes, or other aggravating circumstances. It would require that any public elementary or secondary school student not be suspended, expelled, or excluded from attendance at school without first considering other levels of administrative responses to that student behavior. The preferred methods would include such things as in-school suspension, and these would be defined and set out by the VDOE's model guidance for positive preventative code for student conduct policy and alternatives to suspension. Again, the goal is to keep students in school, keep them learning, and not cause any further setbacks in their academic performance. And so again, I renew my motion that HB 398 pass.
The question is, shall the bill pass? Those in favor will record their votes aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Does any senator desire to change their vote? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 21, noes 19.
Ayes 21, noes 19. The bill passes.
House Bill 405, Electric Vehicle Charging Facilities Infrastructure Necessary to Support Installation. Reported from the Committee on General Laws and Technology.
Senator Soroville, the senator from Eastern Fairfax.
Thank you, Madam President. I ask the bill go by for the day. We're working on a couple amendments to it.
Without objection, House Bill 405 goes by for the day.
House Bill 426, Counseling Board of Licensure of Professional Counselors Without Examination. Reported from the Committee on Education and Health with a substitute.
Senator Hashmi, the senator from Chesterfield.
I move the committee substitute be agreed to.
Question is, shall the substitute be agreed to? Those in favor will say aye. Those opposed, no. The substitute is agreed to. Senator Hashmi.
Thank you, Madam President. I now move that HB 426 pass, and speaking to that motion.
Senator has the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. HB 426 directs our Board of Counseling to develop an examination alternative to the standard licensure for professional counselors. This bill states that such alternative shall allow an applicant to be licensed as a professional counselor if that applicant meets the requirements requirements of the alternative format and meets the education experience as well as fitness that's required to practice as determined by the board. Again, this is an effort to handle or address the crisis that we have in licensed professional counselors, seeing the great need that we have all across Virginia. This is a bill that would help to alleviate some of those workforce concerns. I move again that we recommend passage of this bill.
The question is, shall the bill pass? Those in favor will record their votes aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Does any senator desire to change their vote? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 24, noes 16.
Ayes 24, noes 16. The bill passes.
House Bill 442, Virginia Residential Landlord and Tenant Act, Landlord Remedies, Noncompliance with Rental Agreement. Reported from the Committee on General Laws and Technology.
Senator Eben, the senator from Alexandria.
Thank you, Madam President. I move the bill pass, and speaking to that motion.
The senator has the floor.
HB 442 offers tenants who owe less than 1 month's rent a chance to pay their debt through a payment plan before they're evicted. And if they were to miss a subsequent rent payment while on the plan, the landlord would still be able to move forward with evictions. This is a way to try and solve smaller debts without resulting in an eviction. Move the bill pass.
The question is, shall the bill pass? Those in favor will record their votes aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Does any senator desire to change their vote? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 22, noes 18.
Ayes 22, noes 18. The bill passes.
House Bill 455, Controlled Substances, Possession of an Item Containing Less than 1 gram Penalty. Reported from the Committee for Courts of Justice with a substitute.
Senator Sorovell, the senator from Eastern Fairfax County.
Thank you, Madam President. I move the substitute.
Question is, shall the substitute be agreed to? Those in favor will say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. The substitute is agreed to. Senator Sorovell.
Thank you, Madam President. This bill is such a good idea. I can't believe I hadn't thought of it. It's
Your motion then, Senator?
I move to pass this wonderful bill.
Senator has the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. So what this bill does is it basically creates the option, not the requirement, but the option for the Commonwealth Attorney to reduce any felony drug charge to a misdemeanor if the only amount of substance that's found on the person is a residue. And by the way, it excludes fentanyl or any type of fentanyl derivatives from that possibility. So for those of y'all don't practice, what often a lot of these drug cases that will result is they will find some sort of paraphernalia in a car, like a pipe or a can or some other smoking ingestion object. But they won't find any kind of detectable, weighable quantity of the drug on the item or in the vehicle. All they'll find is that it has residue remaining on the device. And however, those people are still charged with felonies and they are still subject to being convicted of felonies. But this creates the ability for a Commonwealth Attorney to, for example, take something down to a misdemeanor cocaine possession, which otherwise is not a crime. We don't have such a thing as misdemeanor cocaine or misdemeanor heroin or misdemeanor Molly or whatever. So this just creates an option for the Commonwealth Attorney to take it a little easier on somebody if all they have is residue. I thought it was an excellent bill. I hope we can pass it.
The question is, shall the bill pass? Those in favor will record their votes aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Does any senator desire to change their vote? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 31, noes 8.
Ayes 31, noes 8. The bill passes.
House Bill 467, Real Estate Contract Disclosures, Certain Establishment by Localities Prohibited. Reported from the Committee on General Laws and Technology.
Senator Locke? Senator Eben, the senator from Alexandria.
Yes, thank you. I move the bill pass, and speaking to the legislation.
The senator has the floor.
HB 467 is identical to legislation that we passed earlier this session from the senator from Hampton. It prohibits localities from establishing or enforcing a mandatory disclosure requirement for a real estate licensee, a party to a contract for the sale of listing of residential real property or any authorized agents of such party. There was no controversy on that bill, but since then there had been some opposition from Loudoun County, which has a noise disclosure ordinance that they have, and proponents of the bill would argue that that all the disclosures should come through Richmond and be uniform. And again, I renew my motion the bill pass.
The question is, shall the bill pass? Those in favor will record their votes aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Does any senator desire to change their vote? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 29, noes 10.
Ayes 29, noes 10. The bill passes.
House Bill 516, prescription drugs, labels provided for blind and disabled users. Reported from the Committee on Education and Health with the substitute.
For what purpose does the senator from Hanover rise?
Madam President, I was going to move to reconsider on the last bill, but I'll wait till after this one's finished.
Senator Hashmi, the senator from Chesterfield.
Thank you, Madam President. I move the committee substitute be agreed to.
The question is, shall the substitute be agreed to? Those in favor will say aye. Those opposed, no. The substitute is agreed to. Senator Hashmi.
Thank you, Madam President. I now move that HB 516 pass, and speaking to that motion.
The senator has the floor.
Madam President, HB 516 is responding to the critical need for our Virginians who may be blind, visually impaired, or otherwise not be able to read the prescription labels in order to fully comply with their prescriptions. And so this is an accommodation bill that would require our pharmacists to notify individuals who are receiving a prescription drug of alternative methods for being able to read their prescription label and to be able to provide that at no cost to them. This bill received quite a bit of discussion in subcommittee, and prior to passing out of the full committee, there was full agreement among the stakeholders that as patients who need assistance could inquire from their or receive from their pharmacies accommodations to their visual concerns, and also then be able to access the prescriptions in a way that is helpful to them. I renew my motion that 516 pass. Thank you.
The question is, shall the bill pass? Those in favor will record their votes aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Does any senator desire to change their vote? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 39, noes 0.
Ayes 39, no 0. The bill passes. Senator McDougall.
Madam President, having voted on the prevailing side where 467 passed, move to reconsider the vote.
The question is, shall the vote by which House Bill 467 passed be reconsidered? Those in favor will record their votes aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Does any senator desire to change their vote? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 40, noes 0.
Ayes 40, no 0. The vote is reconsidered. Senator Eben.
I yield to the senator from Prince William. To the senator from Hampton, whose bill it was originally.
Senator Locke, the senator from Hampton.
Madam President, the bill has already been explained relative to its content prohibiting the establishment of mandatory real estate disclosures, and I move its passage.
The question is, shall the bill pass? Those in favor will record their votes aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Does any senator desire to change their vote? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 30, noes 9. Rule 36-1.
Ayes 30, noes 9. Rule 36-1. The bill passes.
House Bill 536, Student Bullying, a Just Definition, Characteristics of Victim, reported from the Committee on Education and Health.
Senator Hashmi, the senator from Chesterfield.
Thank you, Madam President. I move that HB 536 pass, and speaking to that motion.
Senator has the floor.
HB 536 adjusts the definition of bullying that we have in the context of public education to specify that the real or perceived power imbalance between the aggressor and the victim that is involved in the act of bullying includes such a power imbalance on the basis of the membership of the victim to a group that is protected from discrimination pursuant to the Virginia Human Rights Act. So this would connect the definition to our VHRA, and again, I renew that HB 536 pass.
Senator Sorovell. The question is, shall the bill pass? Those in favor will record their votes aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Does any senator desire to change their vote? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 21, noes 19.
Ayes 21, noes 19. The bill passes. For what purpose does the senator from Eastern Fairfax County rise?
Madam President, I rise for a motion.
The senator has the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. The witching hour having arrived, I would move that the remaining bills that are on the on for third reading on the regular calendar go by for the day.
We had one we went by temporarily.
So we've got to put that on it as well.
After this block. Okay, we can do it after this block.
The question is, shall the remaining House bills on regular calendar third reading go by for the day? Those in favor of that motion will record their votes aye. I'm sorry, voice vote. Those in favor will say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The bills go by for the day.
We can return to page 48. House Bill 803, we went by temporarily.
Madam President, I ask that bill go by for the day.
Without objection, House Bill 803 goes by for the day.
Uncontested calendar, House bills on second reading. That's on page 71.
Senator Sorovell, the senator from Eastern Fairfax County.
Madam President, I move that all the House bills on second reading on the uncontested regular calendars, pages 71 to 93, House bills 27 to 1515, the rules be suspended and the second constitutional reading of the titles be dispensed with.
The question is, shall the rules be suspended and the second reading of the titles of House bills on the uncontested and regular calendars, pages 71 through 93, House bills 27 through House Bill 1515, be dispensed with? All in favor of that motion will record their votes aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Does any senator desire to change their vote? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 40, no 0.
Ayes 40, no 0. The reading of the titles is dispensed with. Senator Sorovell.
Madam President, I move that all the House bills now on third reading go by for the day.
The question is, shall the House bills on the uncontested and regular calendars now on their third reading go by for the day? Those in favor of that motion will say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The motion is agreed to. The bills go by for the day.
On page 93, uncontested calendar, House joint resolutions on second reading.
Senator Sorovell, the senator from Eastern Fairfax County.
Madam President, I move that all the House joint resolutions on second reading on the uncontested regular calendars, pages 93 through 94, House Joint Resolution 10 through 76, that the rules be suspended and the second constitutional reading of the titles be dispensed with.
The question is, shall the rules be suspended and the second reading of the titles on the House joint resolutions on the uncontested and regular calendars, pages 93 and 94, House Joint Resolution 10 through House Joint Resolution 76, be waived? All in favor of the motion will record their votes aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Does any senator desire to change their vote? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 40, no 0.
Ayes 40, no 0. The reading of the titles is dispensed with. Senator Sorovell.
Madam President, I move that all those House joint resolutions go by for the day.
The question is, shall the House joint resolutions on the uncontested and regular calendars now on third reading go by for the day? Those in favor of that motion will say aye. Those opposed, no. The motion is agreed to. The resolutions will go by for the day.
Page 94, regular calendar, Senate Joint Resolution on first reading. Senate Joint Resolution 127, encouraging the Commonwealth of Virginia to take all practical steps to increase the use of sustainable aviation fuel in the Commonwealth, regionally and nationally. Supplemental calendar number 1.
Madam President,
Senator Sorovell.
I would ask that all the items on the supplemental calendar number 1 go by for the day.
What was that motion again?
Bye for the day. Bye-bye.
All of them?
All of them. Every one of them.
Even the acedes, sir? All of them?
Yep, we got places to be.
All right. Just checking. The question is, shall the House bills, all of them, on the supplemental calendar number 1, every single one go by for the day, be placed in the block and go by for the day? Those in favor of that motion will say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The motion is agreed to. The bills will go by for the day.
Inquiry of the clerk. Does that complete our calendars for today?
Yes, sir.
Is there any other business to come before the Senate? The clerk will report any announcements on the desk.
The Committee on Rules will meet immediately upon adjournment at the chair's desk. Rules immediately upon adjournment at the chair's desk. The Committee on Commerce and Labor will meet 15 minutes after adjournment in Senate Room A. The Northern Virginia Delegation Caucus will meet at 5 p.m. in House Room 1 in the Capitol. Tuesday, March 5th, the Republican Caucus will meet 45 minutes before session in Senate Room 2, and the Democratic Caucus will meet 30 minutes before session in Senate Room 1.
Senator Lucas, the senator from Portsmouth.
Thank you, Madam President. Madam President, I move that the Senate do now adjourn until 10:30 tomorrow, and that the Senate suspend the rules and direct the clerk to accept memorial and commending resolutions to be introduced until 5 p.m. today.
The question is, shall the Senate adjourn until 10:30 tomorrow morning, and that the Senate suspend the rules and direct the clerk to accept memorial and commending resolutions to be introduced until 5 p.m. today? All in favor will record their votes aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? All the senators voted. Does any senator desire to change their vote? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 39, no 0.
Ayes 39, no 0. The Senate does now adjourn until 10:30 a.m. tomorrow, and the Senate has suspended the rules and directed the clerk to accept memorial and commending resolutions to be introduced until 5 p.m. today.
The Senate of Virginia. This is the Senate of Virginia, Richmond, Virginia. The Senate of Virginia,